In one sitting, you'll learn the strange receipts archaeologists use to turn impossible stories into confirmed history, so you can spot real legends hiding in plain sight. 33 ancient stories everyone dismissed, the weird evidence archaeologists dug up. Today, we're tracing drowned palaces, buried cities, and devices that shouldn't exist. We'll hit Troy's stacked layers, then a Greek machine packed with gears. Stay for number 33, where tests keep the origin question alive. Atlantis legend that keeps luring real underwater ruins. People still chase Atlantis, and some dives find puzzling stone grids. In 1968, pilots spotted the Bimini Road near the Bahamas. Divers filmed neat blocks underwater, like a dock built yesterday. Geologists answered fast. Beach rock can crack into tidy rectangles. Then Greece added a twist with Helike, a city drowned by quakes. Off Santorini, Akrotiri's ash layers fueled Atlantis comparisons again. Frank Godio's teams mapped Alexandria's seabed, finding real royal ruins. So the searches keep splitting: geology, legend, and confirmed sunken towns. Atlantis stays unproven, but the ocean keeps handing out clues. 2. Troy was real. Archaeologists found Homer's city layers. Troy went from bedtime story to excavated hill in Turkey. In the 1870s, Heinrich Schliemann dug at Hisarlik with obsession. He chased Homer's lines, sometimes blasting layers with dynamite. Critics mocked him until city walls and gates started appearing. Later, archaeologists found many Troys stacked, like a history sandwich. Carl Blagan and then Manfred Korfmann argued over which layer fits. Pottery styles, burn marks, and arrowheads hinted at real conflict. But the famous wooden horse stays literature, not a found artifact. Still, Hisarlik proved one thing: myths can sit on maps. 3. Cleopatra's Palace, ruins discovered beneath Alexandria's harbor. Cleopatra's world didn't vanish. It slid under Alexandria's waves. After earthquakes and tsunamis, parts of the ancient port sank offshore. In the 1990s, underwater archaeologist Frank Godio surveyed the harbor. His team found statues, columns, and sphinxes scattered like toppled chess. One massive granite head likely belonged to Ptolemy, her dynasty's king. They mapped the Antirhodos Island area, linked to royal palaces. Coins and carved blocks tied the ruins to Cleopatra's late era. Tourists imagine romances, but divers mostly see mud and measurement grids. That contrast is the point. History can drown without disappearing. 4. Vikings in America confirmed by a Norse settlement. America's Viking story stopped being rumor when turf walls appeared. In the 1960s, Helgi and Anne Stein Ingstad searched Newfoundland. Locals pointed to Ard mounds at Lonsall Meadows. Excavators uncovered Norse-style buildings, iron nails, and a smithy. They even found a spindle whorl, hinting women were there too. Radiocarbon dates match the saga's rough timing, around 1,000 years. So Leif Erikson stopped sounding fictional and started sounding early. The twist is smallness. It was a base camp, not conquest. But one campsite was enough to redraw who arrived first. 5. Noah's Ark searches keep finding strange wood on Ararat. Every few years, a new Ark headline hits like lightning. Teams hike Mount Ararat in eastern Turkey, chasing a floating memory ship. Since the 1940s, photos and rumors pointed to dark ice shapes. Some expeditions brought down timber pieces, claiming ancient hand-cut beams. Skeptics countered that glaciers can collect wood from lower slopes. In the 2000s, a group announced wooden chambers, and critics pounced. Questions piled up about chain of custody, altitude, and convenient samples. Meanwhile, local guides kept selling hope, maps, and very expensive climbs. The real story is the chase and how evidence gets tested. 6. Ark of the Covenant trails lead to lost temples and vaults. The Ark of the Covenant is missing, and everybody has a map. The story starts in ancient Jerusalem, near Solomon's temple on Mount Moriah. After Babylon's conquest, the trail goes quiet, which makes rumors loud. Ethiopian tradition points to Aksum, where St. Mary of Zion is guarded. Only one monk may see it, so outsiders chase shadows. Other theories jump to Templars, tunnels, and secret vaults under the city. In 1981, Israel's Temple Mount digs stirred controversy and sudden restrictions. That crackdown fed the legend machine, even without any artifact revealed. So the Ark survives as a quest, not a confirmed museum piece. 7. The Dead Sea Scrolls backed ancient texts, line by line. A tossed stone in a cave ended up shaking biblical studies. Around 1947, a Bedouin shepherd searched near Qumran by the Dead Sea. He heard pottery crack and found jars holding wrapped leather scrolls. Dealers in Bethlehem moved them quietly, before scholars realized the scale. Researchers like Roland DeVoe excavated nearby ruins, chasing authors. Fragments matched passages from Isaiah and Deuteronomy with eerie familiarity. But the shock was variety, rules, hymns, calendars, and fierce arguments. For decades, tiny scraps were pieced like puzzles under bright lamps. The scrolls didn't prove one story, they proved many voices. 8. Antikythera mechanism proved Greeks built a computer device. A shipwreck gift turned into the strangest clockwork in ancient history. In 1901, sponge divers worked near Antikythera, between Crete and Greece. They hauled up statues, then noticed a corroded lump with gear teeth. At first it looked like junk, until X-rays revealed stacked bronze gears. Derek de Sola Price helped show it tracked moons and eclipses. Later CT scans read faint Greek labels, like instructions hiding in rust. The twist is sophistication. It predicted cycles sailors couldn't see. That forced historians to rethink what Hellenistic workshops could build. One broken box proved ancient science was not always simple. 9. Gobekli Tepe rewrote the timeline of the first temples. A barren hill in Turkey turned into the world's oldest temple shocker. Near Şanlıurfa, farmers knew the mound, but archaeologists once shrugged. In the 1990s, Klaus Schmidt noticed carved limestone peeking from the soil. He uncovered T-shaped pillars with foxes, snakes, and vultures in relief. These builders were hunters, not farmers, which flips the usual timeline. No houses set nearby, only stone circles like meeting halls. Then it was deliberately buried, as if someone closed the site. That burial preserved carvings so sharp they still look fresh. Gobekli Tepe suggests belief organized people before crops did. 10. The Hittite Empire emerged from tablets after being doubted. An empire vanished so hard, scholars called it imaginary. Then explorers found Hattusa in central Turkey, ringed by massive walls. In the early 1900s, digs uncovered archives of clay tablets. The writing looked like Mesopotamian cuneiform, but the language felt off. In 1915, Bedřich Hosny cracked it with an oddly simple sentence. Suddenly, the Hittites spoke Indo-European, not a lost tongue. Treaties named Egyptian pharaoh Ramses II, linking them to known history. Royal letters argued over marriages, wars, and who owed silver. What seemed like legend became paperwork, stamped into wet clay. 11. Babylon's Ishtar Gate remains proved a fabled supercity existed. Babylon's glory wasn't just poetry. It showed up in blue bricks. Around 1900, Robert Koldewey excavated Babylon, near modern Hilla in Iraq. He traced processional streets and foundations, following ancient building inscriptions. Then glazed fragments appeared, bright as candy, with lions and dragons. Those creatures belonged to Ishtar's Gate, the city's ceremonial entrance. Workers numbered each brick, like a giant jigsaw nobody expected. The rebuilt gate later stood in Berlin, stunning visitors with color. But in Iraq, the empty footprint still marks where kings staged power. It's a reminder that famous cities leave receipts in mud. 12. The Rosetta Stone brought Egyptian hieroglyphs back to life. One dark slab turned a dead script back into readable voices. In 1799, French soldiers near Rosetta found it while building defenses. It carried the same decree in Greek, Demotic, and hieroglyphs. After Britain took it, scholars raced like detectives chasing one key. Thomas Young made early breakthroughs, but Jean-François Champollion went further. He realized hieroglyphs could sound out names, not just symbols. That insight unlocked pharaohs, taxes, prayers, and snarky temple graffiti. Suddenly, Egypt's walls were not pictures, they were sentences. The weird part is simple. A bureaucratic decree revived an empire. 13. Lidar revealed hidden Maya megacities under thick jungle. Jungle cover fooled everyone, until lasers turned trees into transparent curtains. In Guatemala's Petén, researchers flew Lidar over vast Maya lowlands. Lidar means light radar, measuring ground shapes through canopy gaps. The maps revealed causeways, terraces, and hidden pyramids packed like neighborhoods. One survey estimated tens of thousands of structures across the region. That forced archaeologists to rethink Maya cities as dense, engineered landscapes. Defensive walls popped up, hinting conflict was common, not rare. The twist is visibility. The ruins were always there, just hidden. Now machetes follow laser lines, and discoveries arrive faster. 14. Uluburun shipwreck showed a Bronze Age global trade web. A single shipwreck showed the Bronze Age had a global supply chain. In 1982, a Turkish sponge diver spotted metal ingots off Uluburun. Archaeologists from the Institute of Nautical Archaeology began a deep excavation. They lifted copper oxide ingots, stacked like giant loaves on the seabed. Alongside them came Canaanite jars, ivory, glass beads, and amber. Even an Egyptian scarab appeared, hinting connections to Nefertiti's era. Storms likely sank it, turning commerce into a time capsule. The twist is mix. One deck carried half the known world. Uluburun made ancient trade feel less romantic, more organized. 15. Otzi the Iceman preserved, a complete 5,000-year-old life. A frozen body in the Alps became a 5,000-year detective story. In 1991, hikers Helmut and Erika Simon found him near Ötztal. At first, officials thought he was a modern climber. Then his copper axe, fur clothes, and grass cape changed everything. Scientists scanned tattoos, stomach contents, and pollen to track his last hours. A flint arrowhead in his shoulder suggested conflict, not just weather. His gear showed careful repair, like a traveler who expected trouble. The twist is intimacy. You can almost follow his footsteps. Otzi made prehistory feel personal, not like distant museum glass. 16. The Nebra sky disk suggested early European stargazing maps. A stolen treasure became evidence that Europeans mapped the sky early. In 1999, looters dug on Germany's Mittelberg Hill near Nebra. They pulled out a bronze disc with gold stars and arcs. Police later seized it in a sting after a black market sale attempt. Researchers found the Pleiades cluster, a sun or moon, and horizon markers. Those arcs matched solstice angles, hinting a practical calendar tool. Skeptics questioned the find spot because looters wrecked the original context. The twist is rescue. Science saved meaning after crime damaged it. Now the Nebra disc sits in Halley, still sparking arguments. 17. Nazca Lines made sense only after seeing them from above. The Nazca Lines look pointless on foot, then suddenly become giant art. In Peru's desert, people cleared stones to expose lighter soil below. From the ground, you see scratches, but from plains, you see animals. In the 1940s, Maria Reiche measured them obsessively, protecting them from damage. She lived in the desert, counting steps, plotting lines like graph paper. Theories range from alien runways to ritual paths leading to water. Archaeologists now link many figures to ceremonies, astronomy, and pilgrimage routes. The twist is survival. Wind and dryness preserve lines for centuries. One wrong tire track can ruin a drawing nobody noticed. 18. Caral's ancient city proved civilization. Rose in Peru early. Peru's Caral proved cities rose early, far from Egypt and Mesopotamia. In the 1990s, archaeologist Ruth Shady surveyed the Soup Valley sites. She found platform mounds and sunken plazas, bigger than nearby villages. Radiocarbon dates pushed it back around 5,000 years, surprising everyone. Yet there were few weapons, suggesting power came from organization. They played music too, bone flutes turned up alongside construction debris. Cotton and fish remains showed coastal trade feeding inland monument building. The twist is quietness, a complex city without the usual war story. Caral makes civilization look like teamwork, not just kings. 19. Pompeii's graffiti exposed everyday Roman humor and drama. Pompeii's graffiti reads like modern comments, frozen before disaster hit. In AD 79, Vesuvius covered the city with ash and pumice. Centuries later, excavators uncovered walls, still scribbled with jokes and ads. One message bragged about a gladiator's wins, like ancient sports talk. Another complained about bad wine, proving taste wars never end. Some lines were political, naming candidates and urging votes in the street. You also find love notes, insults, and price lists for bread. The twist is voice. Ordinary Romans speak louder than marble statues. Pompeii didn't just preserve buildings, it preserved everyday personalities. 20. Akrotiri's buried town confirmed a Minoan Pompeii story. Akrotiri vanished in ash, then reappeared like a time-locked apartment. On Santorini, the volcano erupted in the Bronze Age, burying the town. In 1967, Greek archaeologist Spyridon Marinados began systematic excavations there. He found multi-story houses, drainage pipes, and bright frescoes still clinging. The wall paintings showed ships, saffron gatherers, and blue monkeys. Strangely, few bodies appeared, hinting residents evacuated before the blast. That twist made it less like Pompeii, more like a warning story. Ash protected wood and plaster, letting archaeologists walk streets millennia later. Akrotiri shows disaster, can erase a city, yet save its art. 21. The Sea People's Crisis left burned cities and strange weapons. A wave of raiders helped crash Bronze Age kingdoms across the Mediterranean. Egyptian records under Ramesses III describe battles against groups called Sea Peoples. Reliefs at Medinet Habu show ships, families, and ox carts moving together. That looks less like pirates, more like migrants, with nowhere stable. Meanwhile, cities like Ugarit burned, leaving letters begging for help. Archaeologists find collapsed palaces, broken swords, and sudden pottery changes. But there's a fake-out. Climate stress and trade failure may explain more. So the Sea Peoples may be symptom, not single villain. Either way, their shadow shows up in burned layers everywhere. 22. The Griffin Warrior tomb revealed Mycenaean gold. Nobody expected. One tomb near Pylos rewrote what we imagined about early Greeks. In 2015, archaeologists Jack Davis and Sharon Stocker found a grave shaft. The burial belonged to a warrior, buried with a sword and armor. Then, thousands of beads appeared, plus rings and a gold chain. The showstopper was an agate seal stone, carved so tiny it stunned experts. It showed a battle scene with motion like later classical art. This was centuries earlier than expected, raising eyebrows about lost techniques. The twist is cross-cultural. Many items looked Minoan, not mainland Greek. So one grave suggested Mycenae grew through borrowing, not isolation. 23. Roman dodecahedrons found everywhere. Still no one knows why. Tiny bronze dodecahedrons keep appearing, and nobody can agree why. They're 12-sided objects with holes, found across Roman-era Europe. Some come from Britain, some from France, and some from Germany. Many have little knobs on corners, like a strange math toy. One theory says candle holders, but soot evidence is inconsistent. Another says knitting tools for gloves, yet sizes vary wildly. People suggest surveying instruments because holes might sight distances. The twist is context. They show up in graves, not workshops. So each new find adds mystery, not answers to Roman daily life. 24. A Viking sunstone crystal test revived navigation claims. A cloudy sky can hide the sun, but crystals can betray it. Norse sagas mention a sunstone, used when fog made navigation hard. For years it sounded magical, until physicists tested Iceland spar crystals. That calcite splits light, creating twin images that change with polarization. By rotating it, you can infer some direction even when hidden. Some researchers point to a crystal found on a later shipwreck. Others warn that evidence is thin, and sailors had many tricks. The twist is role flip. Science makes the saga sound practical. 25. The Baghdad battery find still divides scientists and historians. A clay jar from Iraq sparked a debate about ancient electricity. In the 1930s, museum worker Wilhelm Koenig described it near Baghdad. It looked like a jar with a copper cylinder and iron rod. With vinegar inside, it could produce a small voltage, in theory. That led to wild claims, plated jewelry, medical shocks, secret workshops. But archaeologists noted missing wires and unclear context from the excavation. It might have been a scroll holder, or something ritual, not power. The twist is caution. One object can mislead without its surroundings. Still, the jar keeps teaching how fast we project modern ideas. 26. The Piri Reis map sparked claims of impossible ancient maps. A 1513 map made people gasp because coastlines looked weirdly familiar. In 1929, it surfaced in Istanbul's Topkapi Palace during cataloging work. Ottoman Admiral Piri Reis said he compiled it from many older charts. The fragment shows West Africa and South America, plus islands drawn confidently. Some claimed it shows Antarctica, but that reading depends on stretched interpretations. Historians point to Portuguese exploration routes and map-making errors of the time. Even so, the mystery stays. Whose sources ended up in his hands? The twist is paperwork. One archive shelf triggered decades of speculation. Piri Reis reminds us maps are stories, not perfect photographs. 27. Ubar, the Atlantis of the sands linked to desert ruins. A lost desert city became famous, then linked to real ruins. Arabian tales spoke of Ubar, sometimes called Edom, of the Pillars. In the 1990s, researcher Nicholas Clapp used satellite images to search Oman. The imagery showed caravan routes converging near Shizra, at a desert spring. Excavations found a fort and a sinkhole where ground collapsed suddenly. Headlines yelled Atlantis, but archaeologists described a trade outpost, not paradise. Frankincense caravans likely stopped there, linking Arabia to Rome's markets. The twist is scale. The legend grew bigger than the actual settlement. But the routes were real, and that's the satisfying part. 28. The Hanging Gardens mystery. No one can find them. The Hanging Gardens are world famous, yet nobody can point to them. Ancient writers placed them in Babylon, praising terraces watered from above. But excavations at Babylon never produced a clear garden structure. That opened a twist. Historian Stephanie Daly argues for Nineveh in Assyria. She points to King Sennacherib's text describing water screws and lush terraces. Nineveh's aqueduct at Jerwan shows engineering that could feed massive gardens. So the gardens might be real, but filed under the wrong city. That's the misdirection. One name swap can hide a wonder for centuries. Until more evidence appears, the Hanging Gardens stay famous and unlocated. 29. King Arthur's Camelot. Searches keep turning up fortified sites. Camelot feels like pure romance, yet archaeologists keep finding real forts. In southwest England, Cadbury Castle drew attention as a possible stronghold. Leslie Alcock dug there in the 1960s, uncovering post-Roman defenses. He found big halls and refortified ramparts, suggesting an elite warlord. Meanwhile, Tintagel in Cornwall produced imported pottery, showing high-status connections. But here's the catch. None of it says Arthur on a sign. The legend was written later, and places got claimed like souvenirs. So Camelot hunts reveal real Britain, even if Arthur stays elusive. 30. The city of Jericho's walls debate won't go away. Jericho's fallen walls became a test of archaeology versus a famous story. In the West Bank, Tel Es-Sutah holds layers of an old city. In the 1930s, John Garstang thought he found evidence matching Joshua's conquest. In the 1950s, Kathleen Kenyon redug carefully and revised the timeline. She used stratigraphy, reading soil layers like a layered cake. Her findings suggested the famous wall collapse didn't fit the traditional date. That sparked decades of arguing, with pottery shards playing judge. The twist is patience. Tiny fragments can overturn big sermons. Jericho remains real and ancient, even while interpretations keep shifting. 31. Sumerian tablets recorded a flood story older than the Bible. A flood story older than the Bible emerged from broken clay tablets. In the 1800s, excavations at Nineveh uncovered Assyrian library texts. The British Museum's George Smith famously read a flood passage aloud. It described Utnapishtim building a giant boat surviving a world-covering storm. Later, the Atrahasis epic showed similar details, like animals loaded aboard. Scholars realized stories traveled between Sumer, Akkad, and later cultures. That doesn't settle theology, but it does reveal how myths migrate. The twist is time shift. The oldest version was still a retelling. Clay receipts showed the flood tale had deep roots in Mesopotamia. 32. Egyptian mummies and the cocaine claim still stir debate. A lab result once suggested mummies carried cocaine, and historians panicked. In the early 1990s, toxicologist Svetla Balabanova reported traces in samples. The claim implied pre-Columbian contact, because coca is native to South America. That sounded like a blockbuster, but contamination immediately became the main suspect. Researchers argued about museum handling, modern smoke, and mixed collections. Some follow-up studies failed to replicate the result, cooling the hype. Yet the story persists online because it feels like forbidden travel history. The twist is science drama. One test can outrun decades of caution. For now, the case is a warning about extraordinary claims. 33. The Shroud of Turin tests kept the origin question alive. A linen cloth in Turin keeps sparking fights between faith and physics. The shroud shows a faint body image, like a photographic negative. It became famous in medieval France, then later ended up in Italy. In 1988, labs used radiocarbon dating and suggested a medieval origin. Supporters objected, saying the sample corner was repaired after a fire. Microscopy, pollen claims, and image theories piled up without settling it. Meanwhile, the cathedral protects it behind glass, limiting direct study. The twist is stalemate. Each new test creates two new questions. You know, So the shroud remains famous evidence, even while its story stays disputed.